Hello, good evening. You're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubrali. We begin with the top stories shaping Canada today. Prime Minister Mark Carney confirms there's a possibility for a new sectoral tariff deal with the United States by the end of this month, but is cautioning against being overly optimistic. Government sources meanwhile tell Awaz News they are hopeful there could be movement on a steel and aluminium deal with the U.S. this week. Carney and his cabinet have been ongoing discussions with the U.S. President Donald Trump and his administration for months as the trade war between the two countries drags on. Throughout the negotiations, Carney has signaled it's highly unlikely any country will come away from talks with the United States with an entirely tariff-free deal. Instead, Canada is hoping to secure deals on specific sectors, namely steel, aluminium, copper, autos, and lumber. Carney is traveling to Malaysia next week to meet with the group of Southeast Asian countries known as ASEAN. He will then head to South Korea late next week for the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc, however, is less optimistic about the prospect of a deal by next week. Speaking to reporters on his way into Tuesday's cabinet meeting on Parliament Hill, he said while he's optimistic by nature, there's still work ahead before an agreement is reached. LeBlanc said he's in ongoing discussions with his American counterparts. Over the summer, the federal government set and missed two deadlines by which it was planned to reach a new agreement. In an interview with Awaz News on Monday, Business Council of Canada President and CEO Goldie Hyder said there's reason to be cautiously optimistic that Canada is working towards a deal for some sectors. Japanese baseball superstar Shohei Ohtani will land in Toronto with the Los Angeles Dodgers as the World Series kicks off on Friday, but his fans in Canada say they will still cheer for the Blue Jays. Christine Takasaki, a program coordinator at the Japanese Canadian Culture Centre in Toronto, says she has respect for the Ohtani has achieved as a player, but she has been a Blue Jays fan almost her entire life, and that's not going to change. The Blue Jays were strong contenders to sign Ohtani in free agency before he agreed to record US $700 million 10-year contract with the Dodgers in 2023. Speculation that Ohtani was about to sign with the Jays hit feverish levels in the December of that year amid reports that he was in Toronto-bound private jet, which social media users tracked for hours only to realize that it was not true. Takasaki says while the Jays have all the talent they need to defeat the Dodgers and win the World Series for a third time, it would have been an absolute amazing boon had Ohtani decided to join the team 2 years ago. Toronto resident Jaden Sasaki, an Ohtani fan, says the Jays have the lineup depth to take the series but hopes the Japanese legend doesn't go too hard on them. The Blue Jays made it to the World Series for the first time in more than 30 years after defeating the Seattle Mariners in the Game 7 of the American League Championship Series Monday night. A woman is dead after being shot at a strip mall in Brampton Tuesday afternoon. Emergency crews were called to a parking lot of a strip mall in the area of Queen Street East and Airport Road shortly before 2 p.m. Peel police say the woman was pronounced dead at the scene. No suspect information has been released. A second suspect has been charged after a woman was found dead in a parking lot behind a building in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario earlier this month. On October 14, Niagara Regional Police officers responded to the area of Main and Ferry Streets for a report of sudden death. Police said they found a 22-year-old woman's body when they arrived at the scene. After the investigation was turned over to their homicide unit, Niagara police said they arrested 43-year-old Christopher St. Louis. He was charged with indignity to a body. Detectives were searching for a suspect wanted to in the investigation, whom they identified as 38-year-old Ryan Meter of Niagara Falls. Authorities say Meter turned himself in at around noon on Tuesday. He has been charged with indignity to a body and is scheduled to attend a bail hearing on Wednesday in St. Catharines. The cause of the woman's death remains under investigation. Police are asking anyone with information to contact them or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Ontario's progressive conservative government says it will provide an update on the province's finances earlier next month. Ontario Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy said Tuesday that the fall economic statement will come down on November 6th. He said the Ford government has been working on unleashing the full potential of the Ontario's economic, and the fall economic statement, sometimes described as a mini budget, will lay out its progress and update the government's plan. In May, the province unveiled $232.5 billion budget aimed at protecting the economy from tariffs. The budget, which grew the deficit to an estimated $14.6 billion in 2025 to 2026, included billions dollars for shoring up various programs aimed at protecting jobs, industries, and workers. The government said at the time that it still expects to be able to balance the books by 2027 to 2028, even predicting a small surplus of $200 million that fiscal year. The latest testing phase for the much-delayed Eglinton Crosstown LRT has been temporarily paused following an incident last week, the province says. On October 7, Metrolinx began carrying out a 30-day revenue service demonstration (RSD), one of the final testing phases for the Crosstown project. The testing involves running empty trains along the 19-kilometer track in order to identify any outstanding issues. A report in the Toronto Star Tuesday cited a source as saying two trains collided at Mount Dennis Station on October 16. Sarkaria's office did not provide any information about the incident that paused the RSD testing. The TTC, which will be responsible for operating the line, told Awaz News they had no information about the incident. The crosstown was supposed to open in 2020, but the date has been pushed back numerous times because the construction problems, lawsuits, and quality checks. Officials have repeatedly said they will not open the line until they are sure that they can do so safely. In a statement Tuesday, transit user advocacy group TTC Riders expressed outrage over the latest delay. Pronout said the line demonstrates that public-private partnerships don't work for transit and said the group is calling for a public inquiry into the project's failings. Once the revenue service demonstration is complete, there will be also a bedding-in period for further testing to ensure reliability. Officials said in June that September 2025 opening for the line was conceivable if all went well. Officials said in June that a September 2025 opening for the line was conceivable if all went well. However, Metrolinx CEO Michael Lindsay said last month that there were still vehicle reliability and performance issues with the line and that they would not be sorted out by the end of September. People can expect a large police presence at the shops at Pickering City Centre due to an ongoing jewelry store smash-and-grab investigation. Durham police said just before 1 p.m. they responded to a robbery at the People's Jewelry Store inside the mall at 1355 Kingston Road, just east of Liverpool Road. Investigators say several suspects entered the business with what are believed to be hammers and crowbars. The suspect fled the area in a vehicle. No injuries have been reported at this point, police said.
That's for all tonight. This is Kubrali. You're watching Awaz News. Have a wonderful evening.